The system of care for older adults in the North Country is threatening to unravel. Nursing homes and other adult care facilities are struggling. Ones in Canton and Ogdensburg have had to close in the last few years. A nursing home in the southern Adirondacks is teetering on the edge, and the only lifeline, owners say, is a state grant. That's today's story of the day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Claxton Hepburn Medical Center, dedicated to providing patient care and regional services to the people of St. Lawrence County. claxtonhepburn.org.
Hey, I'm David Summerstein. It's Thursday, April 18th. First up, U.S. Customs and Border Protection will hold a public hearing on the potential siting of a new facility in the Thousand Islands. As Kara Chapman reports, the move follows opposition and advocacy from multiple groups in both sides of the aisle.
Right now, there's a U.S. Customs and Border Protection station on Wellesley Island, but CBP wants to replace it with a new, bigger one somewhere else along the St. Lawrence River. A proposal to build it on Blind Bay has drawn stiff opposition from locals, environmentalists, and elected officials. Those include Senate Democratic Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Republican Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. CBP has also proposed using a property in Clayton. The agency says the site needs to be next to the St. Lawrence River, quote, for mission readiness and adequate response times. CBP announced plans to conduct environmental surveys of the locations in January. According to Schumer's office, it initially planned to only gather public input by mail or by email. Schumer wrote to CBP's acting commissioner to push for an in-person public hearing. CBP told the senator's office Tuesday that it will schedule a public meeting in the next few weeks and extend the comment period to 45 days. In a statement, Schumer encouraged CBP to take full consideration of the community's needs. Congresswoman Tenney said she looks forward to, quote, finding a solution that has support from our community and upholds CBP's crucial mission. A CBP spokesperson said the agency continues to look at properties around the region and no decisions have been made. A date and location for the public hearing had not been set as of Wednesday. Kara Chapman, North Country Public Radio.
A new visitor center at one of the locks in Massena will give visitors a dramatic view as huge St. Lawrence Seaway ships slide in. Billions of dollars worth of goods travel along the Seaway every year between the Atlantic Ocean and Great Lakes. Catherine Wheeler reports officials want both tourists and locals to take advantage of the new space.
When you walk into the new Seaway Visitor Center, a clock hangs from the ceiling, ticking down the minutes and seconds until the next ship is supposed to come through the Eisenhower lock. But as you wait for them to arrive, you can meander through all of the exhibits that line the walls, or just practice your steering.
Ahoy, Captain! Use the steering wheel and throttle to move through the Eisenhower lock. Steer clear of the
From
walls.
two balconies, visitors can watch as the ships make their way from the wide St. Lawrence River and thread right into the skinny lock, perfectly fitting the narrow passage. St. Lawrence Seaway Administrator Adam Tyndall-Schlicht says he wants visitors to come here and see that, how all of this modern shipping connects back to the past.
It creates a unique and very special experience where within a matter of hours you can learn about the history of the St. Lawrence Seaway, even pre-construction in the 50s. So that narrative, that holistic story that you can learn about the history and see the operation in action is really, really unique, especially in the context of how important Great Lakes shipping is today.
Tens of thousands of people went to the old visitor center over the years, but it was starting to age. So in 2018, Senator Chuck Schumer called on the federal government to bring it into the 21st century. The idea received bipartisan support, and the Fed spent more than $7 million adding new amenities, accessibility, and gathering spaces. Tyndall-Schlicht says now it's another way to attract tourists to the North Country by using what's already here.
We want this place to be one of those locations where folks know up and down the river there's spots where you can come, and I don't mean to be uncouth, but spend your money in the North Country, come on down.
The new building's mission will go beyond tourism. Visitor Center Director Amy Stark says they want it to be a community meeting place.
Different community organizations can come here and use this space, and it's free to do so. So we'll be working on coordinating a lot of those types of meetings and events.
The visitor center will now be open year-round to accommodate community groups and tourists. The old one was only open seasonally. Officials from both the U.S. and Canada will celebrate the opening next month, and it will open to the public on May 14th. Catherine Wheeler, North Country Public Radio in Massena.
The administrator of a nursing home in North Creek says she doesn't want to close the facility, but she'll have to without a $2.5 million state grant. Elderwood, which is owned by a private company, is in financial trouble and has filed paperwork with the state that would allow it to close. Amy Feiereisel has this update.
On Tuesday night, the town of Johnsburg held its monthly meeting. It was a bit more crowded than usual, with about 40 members of the public sitting in. They were there for the first bullet on the agenda, Elderwood at North Creek. The facility's administrator, Heidi Schemp, stressed that for residents of the nursing home, it's business as usual.
We are not in closure. We are operating as normal. We are providing all the services and quality of care that we need to provide to our residents.
Schemp gave more insight into the inner financial workings of the nursing home, which has struggled with finances for decades now and took a hard hit during COVID-19. She said the stagnant Medicare reimbursement rate is what put them into this hole. It's basically stayed the same since 2007. But to stay open in the short term, she says they need a $2.5 million Vital Access Provider grant from the State Department of Health, which they've applied for and haven't heard back on. That would be their bridge to sustainability, said Director of Nursing Brianne Parker.
It's just the right now. It's this moment that we need it for this amount of time.
One audience member asked if the nursing home is doomed to close no matter what happens. Schemp said absolutely not.
We're not asking for the government to just keep paying us, right? So we have goals. We've met and exceeded a lot of our goals already.
Elderwood has received VAP grants in the past, and they require a sustainability plan. Schemp said they've been able to improve Elderwood's bottom line over the last few years by reducing their need for travel and agency nurses. But they're still in trouble, and Schemp said the parent company of Elderwood has been covering their losses, but won't do that forever. If they get a no back about the $2.5 million, she said they would start to close immediately.
We would say we would attempt to discharge no more than a certain amount of people every day, and we would find places for those people to go.
Schemp said they won't abandon anyone, but she also said it could be very hard to find open beds in other nursing homes.
We will make sure that it's safe. It's a safe transition. People are transported. We will help you with paperwork. We will do all the things that we would normally do when we're discharging people, but I cannot guarantee where someone would go.
The mood of the meeting was pretty somber. Among the attendees was Christine Powers. She says everyone knows the pain that a closure would mean.
Where are these residents going to go? Where? Are they going to go to Buffalo? Are they going to go to Westchester? What's going to happen to these families? You know, it's a thing. It's a thing.
Powers owns a local business in town and is on the board of the North Creek Business Alliance.
We're really aware of the business lives and the havoc and destruction of potentially our community in economic ways.
Chuck Barton, the CEO of the Warren Washington County's Industrial Development Agency, was also there. He said, as the largest employer in town, Elderwood's closure would have devastating business impacts. But he also noted that it's been powerful to see the community rally behind the nursing home.
The room was crowded last night, and there were people from different walks of life.
There were lots of questions about what locals could do, and Schemp said the community's advocacy is helping. The petitions and letters of support, folks calling their representatives.
People we weren't able to talk to before are talking to us. So I can't express to you enough the impact that has had.
Schemp said what's happening in their community is emblematic of a local and a much larger struggle.
We have two things going on here, right? We have immediate crisis mode of closure, and then we have our long-term plan of how are we going to take care of the elderly. And that is bigger than us.
That question looms large as New York's elderly population only grows. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio.
So today on the show, we took you to Massena, to the Thousand Islands, and to the southern Adirondacks, reporting on issues that really matter to people there. A few hundred miles in just a few minutes, because our local news team is strong and powered by your donations. You rely on Story of the Day to know what's going on across the North Country. Pay to keep that service possible. Donate now in the second last day of our spring fundraiser at ncpr.org/give. If you've been procrastinating and holding back, it's totally okay. You still have time. Just do it now. Get your donation in, ncpr.org/give. Thanks so much. Music today by Patricia Julian of Burlington and Caitlin Scholl of Lake Placid. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.